have history of radicalism, claiming fossil fuels. You guessed it, folks out there in Lazoland.
Racist.
At some point, you just have to stop voting for this crap. And I stress this. I like to think that, well, at times I think that when you vote for a progressive, liberal, socialist, Democrat, douchebag, potato like this piece of human garbage right here is, I'd like to think that you didn't really vote for this, but you keep doing it. And I use this analogy often. It's like you go to a restaurant and you order chicken noodle soup. And as soon as you do that, someone comes out from the back and cracks your freaking head open. Next time you go to the restaurant, you order chicken noodle soup, same thing happens. They come out of the back and crack your freaking head open. At some point, order the split pea for God's sakes. What's the worst it can do? Stop voting for potato. But apparently, you like potatoes. This is why I say, if you're on the left side of the political spectrum, you're an idiot. You're flat out an idiot. I know what you're going to say. Well, that's just my opinion. I can vote for whoever I want. Yes, you can vote for whoever you want. However, when you screw over the rest of the country, that's where I have to draw the line. And this is no different. Members of the Potatoes Environmental Justice Advisory Council have history of radicalism, claiming fossil fuels. You guessed it, folks out there in Lazoland.
Racist.
I'm at a loss for words. How can something that's in the ground that doesn't have a brain, it's only there, it's a thing, how could it be
Racist.
Well, let's read the story and find out. At the end of last month, the Potato Administration announced the members of the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, oh God, the WEJAC, which would provide advice and recommendations to the chair of the Council on Environmental Quality and the White House Environmental Justice Interagency Council, what the hell, on how to address current and historical environmental injustices. And again, I'd like to stress this particular point or reaction. What the hell are you talking about? 26 people were named to the council, but at least 4 of them have made radical statements, we're gonna thunk it, connecting fossil fuels to, you guessed it, racism. Susana Almanza, that's not lost on me, for example, is the director of People Organized in Defense of Earth and Her Resources, PODER, which in Spanish, by the way, means power. Don't let that be lost on you. Poder, in Spanish, means power. An environmental justice organization based in Austin, Texas. Of course, in Austin, Texas. Hilltop Views, the student news website of St. Edward's University, profiled Almanza, noting that she has a Che Guevara, who would have thunk it, poster in her office and said that her organization is fighting big monsters, if they don't even exist. They're not little ones, referring to oil companies. Possibly the same oil companies that provide fuel for her car. Or, dare I say, fuel for her progressive ideals. Beverly Wright, executive director of Deep South Center, you better know where this is coming from, for Environmental Justice, addressed a recent Department of Interior public forum on the federal oil and gas program and implored the department to review the program, quoting here, with an analysis of how it perpetuates environmental racism. Again, that's a made-up word. Environmental racism doesn't exist. Just because you string those two words together doesn't make it an actual thing. But leave it to Democrats and progressives and socialists and communists, it becomes a thing because racism. And the racial inequity of climate, oh, I hate this word, vulnerability. I think I did it. She also insisted that racial discrimination that is central to oil and gas operations. Of course, if you can't beat them, call them a racist. An interview with Vox back in February, Wright linked energy development to slavery and Jim Crow. Again, if you can't beat them, call them slavery, call them slave owners, or proponents of Jim Crow. By the way, Democrats in the past were the proponents of, you guessed it, James Crow. People often forget the legacies of slavery, which, by the way, were mostly Democrat, of the James Crow segregation and out of the chains, laws that were deeply entrenched within social structure of the Southern environment, which, by the way, were run by Southern Democrats, that worsened our quality of life, Wright told the outlet. That legacy resulted in communities that had been inundated with toxic facilities, impacting our health, the value of all the homes where people live, causing them to have higher cancer rates and eventually be relocated from within the midst of these facilities. Once again, all controlled by socialists and communists and douchebag progressive Democrats. Do I need to keep repeating the same narrative over and over again, just like they keep repeating the same bull crap narrative over and over and over again? Another member of the council, Jade Begay, Communications and Digital Director of the Indigenous Environmental Network. Oh, God. It seems to be, I don't know about you guys out there, that a lot of these organizations think the same way and have the same funding. George Soros. But I digress. Previously called change cultural genocide in the article for EcoWatch. God dang. Climate change isn't just a scientific issue, it's an issue of racial inequity. And once again, if you can't call them racist all the time, you downshift and go right into racial inequity. What does that mean? Well, I'm sure you know by now. Economic inequity. And again, if you can't call it economic racism, you change it to inequity. Somehow it makes it better. And cultural genocide, which again, I have to stress, filthy Democrats and socialists and progressives want you dead. Therefore, they are the proponents of cultural genocide. Believe you and me there, folks in Lazoland, they do. She also tied change to colonialism. Oh, only if it's their change, then it's not communist colonialism. Maybe I should pen that word or phrase from now on. Scientific, socialist genocide, communist genocide, democratic or Democrat genocide. It's essential to note that the indigenous vulnerability and resilience to climate change cannot be detached from the context of colonialism. See, there's only one accepted colonialism, which is socialist colonialism. Anything else is wrong, of course, which created both the economic conditions for climate change and social conditions that continue to limit the capacity for indigenous resistance and resilience. Both historically and in the present, climate change itself is thoroughly tied to colonial practices. Again, I have to stress, socialist colonialism is A-OK. Anything else, not okay. Greenhouse gas production over the last 2 centuries hinged on the disposition of indigenous lands and resources, Begay wrote. In an interview with Galdem, Begay insisted that the most important action needed now is to stop all new fossil fuel development. Oh, okay. Then what? Take the bus. Well, the bus runs on fossil fuels. Oh, okay. But you just walk to work. Matter of fact, we'll move you all into a city so you can use the public transportation. By the way, I, Ms. Begay, aren't going to use public transportation because I'm an elite and you're not, plebe. The most important action needed now is to stop all new fossil fuel development. That phrase, in and of itself, is stupid. Completely and 100%. Finally, Tom Cormans wrote for the Green Scene blog that fossil fuels, are one of the greatest threats to our children's future. Again, what are you going to replace it with? Batteries. That means we have to get cozy with China. That's fine with me. Keep in mind, the advisory council was announced at the same time CNN reported that Biden administration was seeking to purge dozens of Trump-appointed advisors from 2 Environmental Protection Agency science panels. And there you have it, folks. The potato out there, and the progressives, and the socialists, and the communists, and the people that want to put you in camps. Think of this of you. If you don't follow through with their demands, and believe you and me in Laszlo land, they are demands. Now, just like when I say Cass Sunstein says at first, they're polite demands. But once they get power, once they get a force and weapons behind them or in front of them, believe you and me, this change that they want will be by force.
Racist.